government is actually working, and in particular, the president. There's no way all of this is without the oversight, insight. In fact, perhaps...
The president is doing well. I'm a member of the opposition, so I'm not in any... I'm not out, it is their duty, to tell Nigerians more about that. But the simple fact is that, yes, they've done well in this regard. They've achieved, and then we see some ongoing efforts, behind the scene at parliamentary level.
It seems a bit difficult to acknowledge that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has made a big difference in the whole security architecture and how safe we feel. You are saying that, look, it's clear.
We have threats.
Well, of course.
We have threats. And,
of course.
We must not, we must be very mindful, of allowing some of these things to get into the head of leaders so that they don't relax. We want them to do more. And that is the essence of, of being an opposition, not just in parliament, but being an opposition political party as far as the country is concerned. I'm a member of the Labour Party, and we still believe, that the blueprint of government can be further expanded to provide better leadership, provide much more security, and all of that. They're on track. Yes, we commend that. Members of the armed forces, of course, when we discuss the armed forces, we do that as non-partisan citizens.
Okay.
Yeah, because they do not belong to any political party. At the moment, they are doing well. From 2015, if you look at it, the various threats, the security chiefs have been tackling these issues, and they've been doing their best. And that's why some of us are not proponents of each time we have security issues, people come up to say the service chiefs should be removed. Those things cause setbacks for us. Because when you remove the service chiefs, you bring new ones, they try to try their hands on new things, and it takes a while for them to settle down. And this time, the threats, the insurgents will gain some mileage, and then they begin to rain new attacks. Then we come back with that rhetoric. So I'm grateful to even my fellow citizens for the fact that for the first time, we are more united. All of us fighting falsehood on the social media to ensure that the narrative of the armed forces are strengthened. We support them, because without citizens' collaboration, they cannot achieve much. All that they have achieved so far, the release of people from captivity, from my record, this year alone, the armed forces have released not less than 1,000 persons from captivity. So when you see some of these figures sometime, you have to cross-check very well.
Yeah.
Okay, look at what happened in Kwara State some days back. So we didn't even know that all this while we had this number of persons, in captivity. We're thinking. And again, as citizens, we have a lot to do. I mentioned the issue of international collaboration, with what we are getting from America. And in an earlier forum, I mentioned the issue of our exit from the International Criminal Court. It is also very important, because whereas you have terrorists who are fighting the states, fighting the citizens of our country, no rules of engagement. They attack anybody, they kill women, they kill children, they take anyone into captivity. They do all sorts of things, committing war crimes here and there. We have not really had any, noise or support from the International Criminal Court to say these guys should be arrested and brought before the International Criminal Court.
Okay.
But on the other side, sometimes you hear things like our troops are going to be, after the war, that we taken to the International Criminal Court, be subjected, and we have a proper legal and justice system in Nigeria that addresses the issues of human rights abuses. So I think we have come a long way as a country. Our continuous membership of the International Criminal Court will no longer do us any good. Okay. With this level of threats that we have in Nigeria at the moment, with the Boko Haram terrorists, the bandits, kidnappers, and all manner of people, I think for government, to be able to fight and achieve its objective, to provide the necessary, security for our citizens. Yes, all of us want to be like America, we want to be like Russia, we want to be like China. We want our armed forces to be able to respond to those threats, within a twinkle of an eye. And these big countries are not members of the International Criminal Court. So I think we, as a people, and our government must, look in that direction.
Indeed. Well,